Now, on the implications of the relationship between South Africa and the US that these newly announced tariffs may have, we speak to Thembisa Fakude, who's director of at Africa-Asia Dialogues. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, the South African government is navigating yet another storm. We heard today the ministers saying that the US tariffs cancel out the AGOA benefits that South Africa enjoyed. What do you make of these developments?
Well, it looks like it. It looks like AGOA is gone, and I think the South African government is now trying to negotiate a way out of this, and it looks like they're not going to retaliate. One would have hoped, of course, like other countries are currently doing, which is tit for tat action, but it looks as if the South African government insists on inviting investment into this country, and they do regard the American business as significant. So that's what they will be doing. And they are also going to negotiate with the United States in terms of looking and finding the way forward.
And as these tensions continue to escalate, I mean, we're yet to hear of a clear strategic response to the tariffs this week and the planned review of bilateral relations. What kind of approach is needed here? Because a day after President Trump announced these tariffs, the South African government said it would not impose tariffs yet. They're warning that responding without understanding how the US has set the rate without first talking to the US could be counterproductive.
Yes, but, well, first of all, luckily, we're not the only one targeted. Initially, yes, if you remember, South Africa had a bit of a spat with the Americans, but the tariffs are applied to almost all countries of the world, all countries in the world that are dealing with United States. Mm-hmm. But the South African posture, I think, outside the "we're not going to be bullied" rhetoric, is that of extending an olive branch and trying to solve problems, whatever that is, including the misinformation that has been spread by the likes of Solidarity, AfriForum, and the DA, to say that South Africa wants to do business. And I think that's the posture that they're taking, and that's what they're going to be pursuing in terms of solving the current impasse. But unfortunately, it might just be too far down the road. Whatever we might be doing or try to rectify, it could just mess up long-term relations, and it might just be difficult for us to recover from this.
Do you say that even as South Africa occupies these trade routes, strategically positioned, making it an important geographical location for superpowers like the US and China?
Yes, but also I think the Americans are undermining the power of China. I think China is likely to use this to their own advantage. And China is hungry and thirsty for African goods and services, not only South African goods and services, but you are likely, for example, with the agricultural products, to find a market that's willing tomorrow to take whatever it is that Donald Trump and his cabinet has since rejected by issuing those tariffs from South Africa. So when it comes to agricultural products, I think China is going to consume all of that, and China is the ready market, not only for South Africa, but for all other countries. Yeah. So China might just become a new power in terms of economics around the world. The only challenge, of course, will be our export on vehicles, particularly those that are produced in this country, Mercedes-Benz. But again, I think the Minister of Department of Trade and Industry and Competition are looking at alternatives on how to bypass, one, the current tariffs that are imposed, and still maintain a business that will save jobs in this country, because this really does threaten jobs. I think 31%, notwithstanding, I think the South African government, to an extent, can protect the suppliers of the vehicles and the manufacturers of the vehicles, particularly in Buffalo City and Gqeberha, so that the business can continue without being disturbed. Because if it is disturbed, you are likely to have a lot of people, including those down the value chain of car manufacturing in this country being impacted negatively.
So as you say that, I mean, should we assume then that the ripple effect will be that with the tariffs imposed, not doing business with the US means that businesses in the US will not do business with South Africa?
Well, we don't know what's going to be happening yet. There's a discussion at the moment in the United States on who is supposed to absorb the tariff hikes by Donald Trump. Is it going to be business or is it going to be the consumers? Because clearly Donald Trump doesn't want to jeopardize his chances and popularity in the United States. So if these tariffs are going to be absorbed by the importers of goods from South Africa, you are likely to protect the clients. But if that's not the case, then you are going to have a situation where there's going to be certain inflation hikes in the United States, and it's not good in terms of politics and popularity of Donald Trump, particularly as we approach the midterm elections.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for wrapping that up. That discussion with Thembisa Fakude, who's director at Africa-Asia Dialogues, giving us some analysis on what could happen as we continue to watch the space with the tensions escalating on South Africa and the US.